It all tastes like chicken.
What is up, YouTube? Welcome back. If you're new to this channel, go ahead and click like and subscribe. That'd be great. Share this thing, doorbell ding it, whatever it is, do the clicky clacks. I'd appreciate it. Been hectic. I went with Clay Milliken. We went over to Lutz's and worked on the Pro Street CRC build, which is the build to the future. It's an awesome truck that they're doing. Go over to Clay Milliken's channel, take a look at that week. It was great, it was fun. Before that, I went to the Havlik Pro Street Elite and Fastest Street Car Shootout. Look, when I was younger, before drag and drives, before all that crazy stuff happened, there used to be the Fastest Street Car Shootout, which had like Annette Summer, Rick Dyer, all these guys that were just incredibly fast back in the day. And they had big cubic inch engines, and there was no way of knowing what drag and drive is now compared to what it was back then. Because without that stuff back then, drag and drive would not even be close to being where it is. It was awesome. So we went there, and all those cars were there. And then there was a bunch of Pro Streeters. There were probably about 40 Pro Streeters. Havlik's put on a killer event. I mean, take a look at this right here. This is where, look at this picture. This is awesome. This is how it kicked off. Take a look at this. That's amazing. Yes, that was a barrel of fuel down there that they lit. They brought us all on the track, and they lit that as the opening. It was awesome. It was hot. That was the only problem I had. It was hot. It was crazy hot. And the whole time it was hot, I kept saying to myself, what do I got to do to fix that Monte Carlo? You know, if you don't know, on the last video, I put a $500 kit off of eBay, an electric air conditioning kit, in my Monte Carlo. Now that kit varies when you look at it online. What I did was I found one that said best offer, and I just kept throwing offers at them. So it ended up being $500. It comes with your compressor, your box with the evap box underneath the dash, your condenser with a fan, all the wiring, all the hoses. I wanted to keep it simple. I wanted to see, as an average person, what would it be, so I bought it, and I put it in the Monte Carlo, and we had different issues. Now, I have read most of your stuff. I couldn't believe that the video did as well as it did. It is very 100% authentic. Now, a lot of people give their ideas, and I looked at it, and some of it doesn't make sense. Like, for me to get, I'm gonna back this up. So, because everybody thinks you need a new alternator, doesn't mean you need a new alternator. Let me show you something. Now, you're probably trying to figure out, what does he mean by everybody saying they need a new alternator? Well, that's what everybody's going. Get a bigger alternator, get a bigger this, get a bigger, it's not that. A newer alternator, especially the Mechanism, is like $500. I don't want to spend $500. The alternator that's on here is a Holley alternator that comes with their whole front drive setup. So that's a 150 amp alternator and 68 amps at idle. My problem is I have too much taxing on the battery to do what it's got to do. Otherwise, you're talking about the Holley itself, the whole wiring, this Hemi, the electric power steering, the fans, everything, the radio, all taxes on that. So I'm going to go back to old school ways and fix it my way, cheap. We're going to address three things on this situation. It's not going to be the alternator, I'm telling you that. Well, let me rephrase that. There's going to be some stuff we're going to do. But we need to fix the box underneath the dash. This way it gets us more airflow. We need to fix the condenser and put a better fan on it. And we do need to address the wiring. With this wiring, we're going to go ahead and put a new battery box in the back with an isolator, which I'll explain all that to you. After this is all done, technically, it should still be cheaper than buying me a new alternator and wiring that thing up. So let's get to it and get on it. When you buy these kits, they come with an evaporator box that blows underneath. This is where all the magic happens. I had a problem. It didn't blow enough air for me to be happy in the vehicle. Now, my mindset was, if I took and cut the back of this plenum off and added bigger squirrel cages, it would work. But by the time I started thinking about how long it would take to do it and all that, I just jumped on the internet. And believe it or not, there's another box that's out there that actually flows more CFM and it's a little bit bigger, but it still fits in the same location and it looks about the same. So do your research on it. This is 300 CFM of air. If you look, you can see how these are smaller and this box is bigger here because this is 600 CFM of air. I think that's going to be enough because I was not happy with it on high and where it was blowing. This should actually blow more air in the cabin. I did plug this one in and I could tell the difference in this one and compared to this one. It still has a heater in it. It still has everything I need. So I'm going to go ahead and install this first into the vehicle and hook it up, and I'll show you how I kind of did it because everybody was complaining about how did you plumb it. You're going to do things different. You're doing things different. This video is not on how to put air conditioning in a Monte Carlo. This video is the updated part of how to fix the cheap version that we found, or the inexpensive version, not the cheap, the inexpensive version that we found on the internet that you could put in your truck, your car, your boat, whatever, but make it effectively so that you can go, hey, I'm enjoying this. Because I don't want to put my name on something or tell you to go buy something that I'm not happy with. And like the first part of the video, I kind of was there. I was happy, but I wasn't happy. So it wasn't like me running out and telling you, go do this. So hopefully at the end of this, I could tell you if you do go buy this stuff, what it's going to take to do it. And right now, I did find a bigger box. I'm going to go ahead and put that in, and then we can keep going and starting all the other stuff. Oh, I need this. I got the evap box in. You didn't need to watch me, but a lot of guys are asking how it goes through the duct work. So I made it so it goes into the factory duct work so it blows fine. This is one solution to the 3-part that we need. Why? That's 600 CFM of air. That means it doubled the air moving inside the cabin. That's the first thing we needed to fix. Now we need to go address the condenser. The front of this has a condenser on it that has a fan, comes in a kit. It's got an electric fan on it. What it does is when you turn it on, the fan engages and it pulls air over the top of the condenser. Now your condenser is actually the magical piece inside of any air conditioning unit. It transfers the heat, and when it does it, the air pulls through, it gets it cooler, goes back in, recycles. The bigger your condenser, it works great. That's why a lot of them you see are put on the radiator itself, and it trusts the fan that's on your engine or your electric fans to pull it through. This $500 kit we had, again, has a condenser with this fan on it. Now this fan itself looks pretty big. It's a 13-inch fan. But the problem is the CFM rating on this is 233. 233 CFM out of this fan means that it ain't doing nothing. We're trying to get more air over the top of the condenser. So I'm going to basically replace this fan with this fan I got from Summit. This fan here is 1400 CFM. I actually had it on the Monte Carlo before I changed it out to the Flexolite fans. But this fan right here, I'm going to put a link on it. It works great. 1400 CFM to 233. Now, that means when you're driving down the road, it gets plenty of air moving through it and it gets it cooler. Sitting, you can tell the difference. Well, I wanted it all time. With more CFM going across my condenser, sitting at idle or any which way there is, it gets it colder. So I'm going to cut this part off and figure out a way to make this work on this. And then we're going to have to show how we're going to wire it. If we put this fan on this shroud and put it back on the condenser, we fix 2 of the issues. We got more airflow in the cabin, and we'll have more airflow going over the top of the condenser. So let's get to working. I got the fan mounted. It was pretty easy. Took a little multi-tool and then cut off the old fan. Put this one on there, bolted it on. It's strong. It does have a little gap in between here, which I'm really not worried about. Air does tend to have to escape as you're driving down the road. It don't matter. That thing was 200. This 233 CFM fan is junk. we're getting it out of there. I will, on this fan, run a relay. It comes out of the compressor with 2 wires that trigger this weak fan. So it's a positive, negative on it. And what I plan on doing is I'm going to go ahead and run me a 40 amp relay. Now, I found these relays online, and I really like them. They have a little fuse in them, so the fuse will pop before the relay goes bad. I'll wire this in, and then the trigger on this relay will be off of the condenser. That red hot wire that comes off of there will go to here. That way, when it turns on, it'll run, and it'll actually stay running, because the way it's set up is after you turn off the air conditioning, the fan still pulls a little bit more on the end, so it doesn't just shut off right off. So that will all still be, it won't know any better or any wiser. This should solve solution number 2. So I'm going to mount the condenser fan on and get it wired, and then we go to the 3rd step of fixing our issues with this AC. The fan is mounted back into its location on the condenser, and I even put a relay on it so that way it works the way I want to, because it's probably going to pull more amps. Now let us discuss the final stage of this, and this is going to be wiring. Now, your alternator that you upgraded to 150 plus amp alternator, usually when we're running battery cables, we run a 6-gauge wire. That's factory wire, and it's just not enough if we're wanting to try to push this to whatever we can do it. Like, everybody keeps pushing the whole deal, and I keep saying it. You need a Mechman alternator. You need this, and there's nothing wrong with those. There isn't, but I'm paying for this out of my pocket. Like, so I have to start thinking the way I would normally do things, and we can give these alternators like a shot, a boost. And the way we do it is, if you ever did any kind of stereo stuff back in the day, you would do a big 3 upgrade. Now, I usually wire vehicles with a 2-gauge or a 4-gauge coming from the alternator to the battery. And then I'll run me from the battery down to the block, and then from the block to the frame. I love grounds. I think that grounds make your life so much easier when you're wiring. Don't shortcut a ground, especially with anything electronic, like everything in there, okay? So what we're gonna have to do is we need to get more of the amperage and the voltage and all the goodness and that alternator is gonna give through to the battery, so we need to upgrade wire. I am going to go from the alternator to the battery with 1/0. So it's pretty big. Let me show you the stuff. So your factory wire itself is about 6-gauge, okay? This is normal stuff that you see in your car all day. I'm gonna use 1/0, and the reason why I'm using 1/0 is, look at this bad dog. 1/0, look at the size. You see all these little strands in there? What, focus? All these strands are gonna get that voltage to that battery and the amperage and everything I need to do it. Now, here's your dilemma when you're doing 1/0, and I'm going to tell you this. There is a big difference in wire when you get online. I get a lot of my wiring from WireCare. I've always used the stuff and trusted their stuff, but there's times that I need it right now. So then we go online and we go to Amazon and we're like, hey, I need this. Well, let me explain something about wire to you. Wire is either 1 or 2 ways, well, 3 actually. It is either going to be aluminum wire, it's going to be copper cladded wire, or it's going to be copper. Copper is the best conductor that you can get. So I recommend always using pure copper. This right here looks amazing, right? It's not. It's copper cladded. If you can look, you can see the silver in it. What it is it's aluminum wire that's cladded with copper. This will lose voltage. I'm just telling you, this will lose voltage. So don't think that you can go on Amazon or any other way and just go buy some cheap wire. Now, this wire would work for like an amp, but we're not trying that. We're trying to keep this vehicle getting the most voltage to what we got to do. So I recommend always looking at your wire, because when you cut a piece of copper clad, it looks like this, right? But then when you start to open it up, you can see the silver in it. Don't do it. Don't do it. If you're going to wire stuff, please look for copper. Okay? We're going to put a bigger wire from the alternator to the battery. Okay, so we get the plenty voltage and amperage and everything that we need. And then we're going to grounds. Our grounds are going to be the second part of this big 3 setup. We're going to take one ground, and because this is an alternator that's almost like a stock style alternator, what I'll do is I'll run a ground from the battery to the block. Because there is, if you get like an aftermarket alternator, they have a lug on it for a ground. We're not doing that. So we're going to run it to the block, and then we're going to run another one from the ground on the battery to the frame. That way there's no problems with voltage spikes or anything that way to do that. Like, this is the biggest part about electrical that's going to help more than anything besides a freaking $7 million alternator. After I finish that, we are going to put a secondary battery in this. It's a reserve battery. We're going to use, I'm going to show you how we're going to set that up. We're going to use a certain thing that helps it work. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing the big 3 and getting all the wires and all that stuff taken care of. And then we'll address the battery in the back of the truck. The big 3 basically is done. I got my 1-aught from the alternator to the battery. I got my battery grounded to the chassis. I got my battery grounded to the block. Usually that one that goes to the block, like I said, would go to the alternator. This way, I got enough juice that's going to take care of what we got to take care of. Now, I'm going to add a second battery. And to do that, I end up getting a kit on Amazon from Vevor. Now, we've all seen that stuff before, and it's actually relatively cheap. But one of the reasons why I like it, because I have it in the van, it's in there too, it's because it's copper wire. And you can't, it's so cheap it works. So what it basically does is it has a relay that we will attach to the main battery. So that's your chassis battery or whatever you want to call it. And we're going to add a secondary battery. So this relay will go to the main battery, which the alternator will feed. So we're going to charge 2 batteries. When this vehicle is on, the relay will work. When it's off, the relay is off. Now, that means the secondary battery will be its own entity. I don't have to worry about any voltage drop in the front battery because it isn't touching it. And we're going to hook up the air conditioning to the second battery. This way, any voltage that drops is just on that second battery, and I don't have to worry about my Holly getting messed up or anything. The Vevor kit comes basically with wire, fuses, and everything. So I'm going to hook it up to the front battery, and then we got to start working our way backwards so we can mount the secondary battery, which is just a simple battery that I got. That's the size, it's a 51 series, or I don't know how you want to call it, but it's for like a Honda Civic, so it's smaller. All we're using that for is the air conditioning. And if I put a stereo on this thing, I can use it for the amp in the back. But right now, it's just going to be used on the air conditioning. I'm going to start setting up all that kind of stuff and showing you more about that. Okay, this is the isolator. I kind of went over it real quick, but it's basically a big relay. And this one here turns on at 13.3 volts, which means that when the alternator is charging, it'll turn this thing on, which then sends your signal or your feed or whatever you want to call it, the super juice, all the way back to your secondary battery. Now, when the vehicle is off, it'll turn off at 12.8, which is resting. So then it'll turn off. That means that the battery in the back is going to work the AC itself and not mess with any of the other stuff that's here. It's really a really simple issue to do on this. It has only, if you look, it actually has your start battery goes to here, which is your main battery. Your secondary battery goes to here, and then you ground it. You just got to find a place to put it. I'm going to mount mine in this spot right here. It's going to be on the fender itself. Then I can run the battery to the start side, run this to the battery in the back, and ground it. And this isolator will be hooked up. Then we got to just mount a battery in the back, then run wire back up here. It's getting there, but it's still cheaper than buying the high dollar alternator. And I think with this extra capacity of storage that we're going to have, it makes this battery operated 12 volt AC even more superior in my mind. Because say we're at a show, or say we're anywhere, and we turn this on, we know that it took an hour for it to kill the main battery. Well, I can go to Harbor Freight and buy a foldable solar panel that I could plug right into that battery, that technically I can let it sit on the trunk lid, and we got AC the whole day. That's pretty cool if you ask me, and then it doesn't affect anything that's here. So I'm gonna hook this up, hook that up, do a little grinding. Yeah, you know. I ended up getting the 2 wires, the 6-gauge wires, ran to the trunk because we're mounting the battery in the trunk. One goes to the isolator. This is one that's going to charge, and this one goes straight up to a junction that I run the electric AC on. This way, this secondary battery will not drain anything that's in the front of this engine, you know, that runs all the power there. This has its own deal. I found a 2002 Honda Civics. They run these 51R batteries. They're relatively small, so it'll fit perfectly fine. In this location, I'll build me a subfloor. Now I need to get taking this battery and making a tray so I can mount it so it doesn't flop around. Let's get to it. Okay, battery's wired and in, set up ground. All the wires are hooked up. I haven't started this yet. I need to see if this mods that I did was worth it. Like with the bigger box, am I gonna be able to tell that there's more air coming through it? With the fan on the condenser, technically, I should be able to turn this on, fan come on, and remember all that's running off the back battery, so I don't have to worry about the voltage being dropped. And then literally the fan should be pulling enough air that I should be feeling some cool breezes soon. I don't know, let's just try this. Moment of truth. I'm gonna turn it on. We should have everything going. It looks like a mess in here, I know, I still gotta put it together, but I wanted to see if all these mods work. It's on full blast. Oh, I could tell a huge difference already. I have air. Big time. Oh! And I'm feeling colder air. Okay, so what this says is, it worked. It's working. I don't know how much voltage on the back yet, but this made a huge difference. So if you're gonna do, I gotta turn this off. This smells so good. If you're gonna do this, is that gonna turn off over there? So here's the thing. If you're going to buy a $500 kit off of eBay, Amazon, or whatever, $500 to $600, that comes with a 12,000 BTU setup that has a smaller box, the condenser and everything else with it. If you're wanting to actually make it better, you can spend a few $100s more, get a box that flows more CFM, because this is night and day difference from 300 to 600 CFM. Like I can feel it blowing in my windage in my face. I can immediately tell when the bigger fan is on the condenser, because it feels like it's actually driving down the road because there's more air going through that condenser to do it. So if you would do a bigger box, change the fan out on the condenser, put a relay on it right like that, and then voltage wise, I wouldn't be able to tell until I start starting it up and driving this. But I've done the isolator battery in the back a bunch of times, and I've never had an issue with the voltage dropping on my main battery, the house battery they would call it, or whatever it is in the back takes care of this. It's a win. It is legit a win. So if you're gonna go do it, Go back to the first one, buy it, bigger alternator, 150 amp and up, big 3 wiring on it. If you want to add another battery into it, I don't know how much amps everything that you own in your engine bay is going to pull. Take the fan off of the condenser, put a bigger fan on the condenser, wire it up like you're going to, set your grounds up right, relays, and you're going to be happy. Because this, holy cow, day and night difference. Is it worth the extra whatever I spent? I didn't spend that much to do it. Yep. Do I think that 12 volt electric air conditioning is worth it in this application, or application, whatever the word we're going to say? Yes, I do, because I want air conditioning. Plus that thing does have heating capabilities, which I haven't hooked up yet. Everybody's written me and said, hey, would it work in my car? Yes. If you do these mods that I'm just showing you, I think that you're going to be very, very, very happy. If you already have this set up and you understood the dilemma of what we had before, changing a couple of things will make you smile and you ain't sweaty and nasty. So, my opinion, the upgrades that I did, baby. So, thanks for watching. I hope you got some of the answers to help you make the better decision on what you want to do. If you got any questions, go ahead and leave it on the thing, you know, on the comment. Appreciate your views. I appreciate you sharing. Sub if you can. Let's get this going. So I'm happy. I'm gonna be cold. Thanks for watching.